Oh, it's Wednesday. You know what time it is. The Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast, is back yet again. Today, we're going to be talking about the current situation and the controversy regarding Slafkovsky. What to do with him? Is it time for the AHL? Do we keep him in the NHL? We're also going to be looking at who was the last first overall pick to play in the AHL. That's an interesting fact right there. We're also going to be comparing him to the progression of former first overall picks to see really where he stands right now. As always, we're going to be touching on our Habs prospect of the week, our riser of the week, and prospect of the week. So let's get started.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
As always, I am your host, producer Shane, joined by the magnificent Grant McCagg. How we doing, Grant? Did you have a good Halloween? Lots of candy?
No.
You didn't steal some from little kids?
No. Bah humbug. The wife there has stopped. We turn the lights out, lock the door, pretend we're not even here.
Oh,
she said, 20 years of doing it. I've had enough. I've done my piece. We've got 3 dogs that bark incessantly whenever somebody comes to the door. So when 40 people come to the door, it's just it's chaos. So we about 4 years ago we stopped the tradition. I'd do it anyway, but she's the boss, so we don't. If she's not buying the candy, I'm not doling it out. So yeah, we're the Grinches that stole Halloween, I guess you could say.
Fair enough. At least, you said you did your part for 20 some years. So
absolutely.
I think the residents of Ottawa are grateful for your contribution.
Handing out 2-liter bottles of cola. Did you see that?
Oh boy, poor kids are going to be breaking their backs. Yeah.
Like how, I don't know. Like we used to carry around pillowcases, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you're a freaking 5-year-old kid and you got to trot around with a 2-liter Pepsi in your pack all day. It just, our parents didn't used to go with us too. Like we're talking 70s. Okay. Mom would just kick you out the door. You'd have like no jacket on. It'd be -5 and freezing. You'd have to run, because, well, I mean, if you ran, you get more candy, right? So you'd run around the block a few times and, have a full pillowcase full of candy and head back frozen, but full of sugar. So
with a good haul. Yeah. Yeah. Right on. Well, I mean, let's get into some hockey.
Okay.
Halloween is past. It's November now. There's snow coming down. God damn it. It's white outside, but,
right.
Yeah, that's it. But if you've all been on Twitter recently, you'll know that it is not a really good place lately, especially regarding Slafkovsky. 1 point in his first 9 games. Again, it's not a big deal.
I didn't know
but for some people, it is a big deal, and they're freaking out, and they're seeing, Logan Cooley doing well in Arizona, and they're saying, he's a bust, strong guy, go to the HL and all that. So we decided to break it down for you today. What should happen, what we think should happen, right? Again, we're not making decisions, but we have some facts to back it up and some interesting comparisons. So obviously, I think the beginning of his problems this season started when Kirby Dach got injured. If we remember back in preseason, those two together were money. They were playing fantastic. First game of the season, they were playing well together, and then obviously second game he's out, and that line with Newhook and Anderson is just, it's not working, right? Let's be honest. So now there's the possibility. Okay, do we try him in the AHL? Is that what's going to revive him, give him his confidence back? Because we've seen plays where he's in a position to shoot, but then he passes and turns it over, and it's just a lack of confidence, it seems. But nonetheless, he still has all the tools to really be like worth a first overall pick. So Grant, let me ask you, where do we begin here?
Well, you stole all my talking points there. I've got nothing else to add. He's a European, still adjusting to the NHL game, so we have to be patient. But certainly, up until the last couple of games, I did not think that sending him to the minors was the right idea. My thinking on it is that the longer he goes now, I mean, it's been 11 months since he scored an NHL goal. Granted, he was injured for a while, but it's been, when you're going on a calendar year since you bent the twine, it starts to play with your head. You lack confidence. And I think I was at the game with Tony Marinaro on, right behind the net. We were there. We saw, I think we might have a clip of it where Slav got the puck in the slot, and I mean, check this out. Like he had to turn around and shoot it, but as you were saying, he just lacks confidence right now to even shoot the puck. He passes. He's on the power play, he gets it on the left, on the right wall there, and invariably tries to pass across the crease. I mean, he's making some nice passes. Unfortunately, there's been several times when he probably should have picked up an assist or two early in the year, and that exacerbates it for him. Only makes it worse because, like you say, 1.9 games. If the plan is not to send him to the minors, I think that they have to try to get him going here. And I've maintained since last year, like in the 11 months that he hasn't scored a goal, has he played a full game with either Suzuki or Monahan? I don't think so. He hasn't. Yeah. The two playmaking centers that they have on the team, he's never gotten to play with. And that includes on the power play. They've got him. They've had him on the second power play with Newhook. They've had him playing with Newhook and Anderson, both of whom are not playmakers. Like, let's be honest here. They, we've seen it time and time again with Newhook since he. I mean, I love his speed. I love a lot of things he does. He can shoot the puck, but making plays, creating offense and vision are not his fortes. Safe to say. I can't think of one good pass and one good play that he's made to Slafkovsky to set him up in the 9 games that they've played together. Like, none spring to mind. I don't think he set him up once, for a good scoring chance. So if the plan is not to send him to the minors, and it's possibility, because I'll touch on that in a minute, then they're going to have to get him on a different line.
There's no doubt. Yeah.
Whether it's bringing up, I mean, at this point they've got. Maybe they're going to wait till Dvorak gets back, and then shuffle things a bit. With there only being 4 centermen on the club right now, they don't have much choice as far as, I guess they have to keep Newhook at center. And I suppose the feeling is that they don't want to break up Pearson, Gallagher, and Monahan, but they keep calling the Newhook line the second line. But let's be honest here, when you see the lineup charts, they may be listed second, but if you look at time on ice, they're the third line.
Yeah.
Now, so Monahan's on the second line. Well, why not switch Gallagher and Slafkovsky? Try it out. It's not like Gallagher's lighting it up either. He's playing okay, but You know, Gallagher with Anderson and Newhook could be a decent line too, right? You've got a little bit of mixture of the two guys that are pretty fast with the kid with the old guy Gallagher that's not that's not as fleet of foot as he used to be.
Yeah.
And put Slafkovsky with Pearson and Monahan, or try him on the top line. Like, RHP is playing okay, but I don't think anybody has stood out on the top line with those two guys. Why not try him? I mean, what do they have to lose at this point? If they aren't sending them down, either try him with Monahan or try him with Caulfield and Suzuki on the top line. Now, I think, over the next 10 games, I'd say if every game that he goes without scoring a goal, I'd say 10% more chance that he gets sent to the minors. If he goes the next 10 games, without a goal, he's got to go to the minors. But I think that's the last thing they want to do for a lot of reasons. First of all, being just the stigma of a first overall pick getting sent to the minors. Now, I did a little researching just before we came on here.
Crazy.
And not one draft first overall pick this millennium, this century, has played a game in the minors. Not one. The last one was Patrick Stefan, who ended up being a bust.
Yeah, and we all remember that infamous missed empty net there.
Yeah. Well, I remember more than anything him being a bust, like that's what he was. So, one of the big reasons why Atlanta failed the second time around as a franchise, but apparently they're going to give them a third go. But anyways, that's another topic for another day. But we saw with Kotkaniemi, they call it now. I guess we'll go with that.
KK's fine. Yeah.
Is that okay, Kay? He when he got sent to the minors, like social media was bad enough up until that point with trashing him, but he was instantly dubbed, well, he's a bust. He's going to be a bust for his whole career because Paris the Thought, a third overall pick, went to the minors for a few games.
That's it.
It is just it just became unbearable to even, like, if I saw Kotkaniemi trending, the last thing I did was click on it because he's a bust because he had to go to the AHL. Is he a bust today? He's averaging a point a game this year.
Yeah.
What people needed to do at the time was be patient with him. And they need to do the same thing with Slafkovsky. But of course they aren't because he's a first overall pick. But just it was bad enough with Kotkaniemi when he went down to the minors. But if first overall pick, Montreal, draft in Montreal, he gets sent to the minors, it's just, he'll trend number one for 6 straight days a week, in Canada. So, they can say all they want that the organization doesn't pay attention to social media and doesn't let it, but it would just be such a firestorm if he got sent to the minors, even if that's what should happen. So I don't think they want to do it. It's going to be, it's going to hurt his pride a lot. This is a pretty proud kid, and you can just tell he's gripping his stick hard. He wants to score so badly. The other night when he missed the net on that good opportunity, he slammed his stick and, he's trying too hard to please and to score. Fair. So, I think you know, they say, well, go down for confidence, but maybe it shatters what little confidence he has right now. You know, if he reads social media, it's not going to help when he gets sent to the minors with the way that he'll be treated. It'll just be it'll be 10 times worse than it already is, and it's bad enough as it is right now. So I think the solution is that they have to get him going, and playing him 20 seconds on a power play with Newhook, playing him with Newhook and Anderson, and not changing. You know, Newhook's been their center since the fourth period of the season, and it's obviously not working. Why do they not? You know, they have to. This is the first overall pick. They can't just let it just fester. They've got to. They got to try to help the kid out. If they're not sending him to the minors, try to, you know, put him in a position to succeed, not to just get worse for him. I think they really have to change things up if they're not sending him to the minors. So, I mean, 2 weeks ago, I say no, don't send him to the minors for all the reasons that I've pointed out. But the longer this goes, if he goes another 5 to 10 games without a point or even a goal, playing on the same line, it's just going to get worse. And I can't see that being the right solution for him. They need to do something.
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Grant. Like, he needs to be given the opportunities to succeed, and right now he's not. I get that the team wants to win, right? And it is a team sport and everybody has to do their part. But this season should be more of a developmental season. Granted, the team is 5-2-2, great start, but is it really sustainable? Right. Whereas if the team takes the approach of, okay, we want our players to develop, to actually hit their potential and be good for many years, then the move would be to give him the opportunities to develop into his potential. And right now he's not getting them. Like you said, he's playing second power play, barely getting any ice time. Like, come on, give him a real chance with the first line, first power play, see what he can do. And if that doesn't work, then you have to resort to more extreme measures, you know, also known as the AHL. But until then, you really, like, there's no reason to panic because we haven't seen everything he can do. You know, when he was with Doc, everything was going well. There was chemistry, but now there's not. So you got to adapt. You got to move things around and find that chemistry.
Even if they put him on the fourth line with Evans and, you know, whoever, he get fourth line matchups. Like, quite a few games this year, he's ended up playing the majority of his shifts against other teams' top lines. It's not working with Newhook. Mm-hmm. Yet they're being, you know, when they do play, they get sent out there, and Newhook's losing 67% of his draws. So they're starting out without the puck. They're playing against, like, they went up against Hughes's line quite a bit against New Jersey. They went against Matthews' line the first night. Well, it worked because Doc was there. But I mean, just about every game he's ended up, for whatever reason, they end up being up against the other team's top lines. So they're not protecting them that way either. So even like playing against other teams' fourth lines with Evans would be better than the recipe that, you know, than what's going on right now with a centerman in Newhook that's winning less than 40% of his draws. So they aren't starting out they're starting without the puck against other teams' top two lines invariably just about every night. You know, I don't know how his confidence can get built if they keep doing that. I think he's got to be moved to another line, even if it's the fourth line. Well, you know, the fourth line's playing 8 to 10 minutes a night. He's getting 11 on. So, you know, with a bit of power play time, he's still going to get about 10 minutes. So maybe 1 minute less a game. It would be fine if it's against other teams' fourth lines, and with a center in Evans that it can at least make some plays that's going to look for him and set him up a bit. It's just that there's no chemistry there with Newhook. Move him. I think that you know, that needs to be done first before they consider the drastic measure of sending a first overall pick to the minors for the first time since the turn of the century.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I mean, and listen, if we end up, like, if the team ends up sending him to the AHL at some point, it's still too early to panic. Like, the kid is 19, and the you know, the comparison that everybody makes for Slafkovsky, what kind of a player he could become, is Mikko Rantanen. Everybody talks about he is, you know, the second coming of Mikko Rantanen. He's a similar style of player, a similar frame and all that. And Mikko played 56 games in the AHL and got 62 points. And we see what kind of player he is now, right? So again, too early to panic. Relax, chill, right? Again, another first overall pick by the name of Jack Hughes, who had 52 points in his first 117 games in the NHL. Obviously, since then, he's got 173 in his last 135. And this year, he's leading the NHL in points. Patience. That's all that these prospects need, is patience. They don't develop at the same rate. Okay. And you know, maybe Cooley is ahead of him right now, but in 5 years, that might not be the case, right? Cooley is actually getting the opportunities to develop. He's playing big minutes, first power play, and it's working. Good for him. That's awesome. Okay. What about Slav now? All right. So until we actually see him getting the opportunities, give him some time. He'll settle into his own. This guy won MVP at the Olympics, for crying out loud. Like, this is unprecedented. The potential of this player is absurd. So there's a reason why he got picked first overall. If you're calling him a bust at 19, you need to reevaluate your life. All right. You know nothing about hockey. Nothing. It genuinely, granted, it genuinely makes me mad, because he has played well. He's not a liability all the time on the ice. He's made rookie mistakes. So do every rookies. Okay. It's a normal thing. It's growth. You learning to play at the highest level of hockey in the world. So give him time. There's no need to panic. We're not in a win now mode. This team doesn't want to aspire for the Stanley Cup this year, next year. Okay. They have time to let him develop, to get better. And when the time comes to be good, he will be good. Simple as that. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. Well, they aspire to win the cup.
You know what I mean? You know, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, they want to win every year. The plan is to
win the cup next year. I know. I hate to break it to you, but that you know, they want to win the cup even this year. Believe it or not. But I mean, they probably aren't going to. But with that young defense core, boy, they're, you know, it's pretty promising. And no, I agree with what you're saying. And 19-year-old European as well, right? The adjustment is not fast, just like with Mikko Rantanen is a great example. You know, Kotkaniemi. KK went down to the minors his second year. He wasn't producing, I think, you know, his first 30 games that second year, he did not get many points, right? He was struggling with his confidence. And look at him now. Like, he's having a great year at 23, 24. I mean, Habs fans aren't going to wait till 23, 24 on Slafkovsky, because they didn't wait till 20 with Kotkaniemi, but tough. You're going to have to. You're going to have to be patient, and it'll pay off in the long run. He's going to be an above-average NHLer. He's going to be a very good one. Now, will he be a superstar? We don't know that, but you know, he's still the top-scoring player from his draft class. Every other top 50 pick, their goals combined are less than Slafkovsky has gotten in his career so far. So just, you know, and people will say, well, you know, it's early. Well, exactly.
It's early. Yeah. Yeah.
So he's not a, you know, he's not a superstar yet, nor is he a bust yet, because it's too early. Both. it can be true for both things, right? So, the buzzword is patience, and I know Habs fans, a lot of them lack that, and that's understandable. Yeah. I mean, we got spoiled back in the day when there was a parade route planned every year, basically, but times have changed.
That's it. And I mean, you can take a look at another first overall pick in Alex Lafrenière, who has had difficulty developing so far. But guess what? He's getting an opportunity this season playing, I believe, with like Panarin and Trocheck. I don't know the lines in New York, but he is getting minutes. He's getting power play time. He already has 4 goals in 9 games. He's getting going, right? Again, patience. New York did not give up on him. They're giving him the opportunities, and it's working. He got selected first overall for a reason. Patience.
2022 draft was not an all-time great draft. So don't be expecting, he won't be, I'll say it right here and now, Yuri Slafkovsky will not be the next Connor McDavid. Connor Bedard will score more NHL points than Yuri Slafkovsky. I'm going to make those bold predictions right now. That's okay. That's okay. So just set the sights a little lower, be realistic, be patient, and we'll see how it all plays out.
That's it. Well, if we move on now to Habs prospect of the week, just so happens to have been drafted at the same draft, 2022, second round pick, 33rd overall, Owen Beck. Let's take a look at some of his highlights.
Yeah, he had 4 goals, 2 assists in 3 games last week. That was after a really slow start for him. It's funny, the night that he got the hat trick, somebody sent me a tweet or an X or whatever you want to call it, saying, what's wrong with Beck? And as soon as this game was over, I noticed like 3 goals, and I said, 3 goals today, nothing wrong with him.
Yeah.
Patience again.
Exactly.
But nice goals, right? Beck, let's be honest here. He's not going to be he's probably not going to be a top 2 center. Certainly not a first line center. That's just, the expectations on him, because he had such a great camp as an 18-year-old in Montreal. People set their sights pretty high right off the bat. I mean, at best, I think he could be a second line center, but you're more likely looking at a great third line guy that can do a bit of everything, that can go up to your second line when needed, as Mike Oak pointed out to us when we were talking to him a couple of weeks ago. That's going to win faceoff, that's going to kill penalties. Who's a lot of similarities to a Sean Monahan type player, Now, he probably doesn't have Monahan's offensive upside, but Sean Monahan was a top 6 pick. Owen Beck was a 2nd round pick. So the expectations, maybe based on last year, were a little high. You saw a lot of people saying even, well, he's going to be better than Slafkovsky, which I don't think so. Time will tell, but you got to keep in mind that he was a 2nd round pick for a reason, and not because he has high end offensive skill, but ton of things to like about Owen Beck's game. Nice to see him getting going. He should be 80+ point scorer this year in Peterborough. I think, he's off the schneid there now, and I think you'll see the offense pick up with him. But as Mike said, and it's true, that Peterborough is a defense first team, and that's the way they play. They don't have a lot of offensive players on the team. So don't expect him to, crack 100 points this year and light it up. for those reasons. Also, he's likely going to the World Juniors, so he'll miss, 8 games or whatever it is with Peterborough there. So then he missed a couple of games at the start of the year, so he'll play less than 60 games this year in Peterborough. I think realistically, you can look at somewhere between 60 and 90 points. Anywhere in that range would be nice from him. When you combine everything else that he does on the ice, that's a pretty good all around junior player.
That's it. You can't really ask for much more out of a second round pick. Like that's great value right there. So Habs fans
play in the NHL for sure.
Exactly. Habs fans really can't complain there. And before we move on to Riser of the Week, we'd like to acknowledge Jacob Fowler, who won Hockey East Goalie of the Month, finished with a record of 5-1-0 with a .919 save percentage. So close second in the Habs Prospect of the Week. Worth putting a spotlight on that. Good job, Jacob. Well done.
Yeah, if we did Prospect of the Month, yeah, he's in the running. He had one game that wasn't great last week, so Owen edged him out.
There you go.
But on that subject, Cedric Gandol was a close second. He had 4 goals and 1 assist, so one less point, 1 less assist. But Gandol had a great week as well. It was encouraging to see Meshar go back and pop a couple goals, a couple of assists in his first 2 games. He was in the running as well. So the 3 OHL kids, had a very encouraging week for Montreal Canadiens fans.
There you go. Lots to be happy about. Okay, Riser of the Week belongs to Spencer Gill from the Q this week. Let's take a look.
Yeah, I thought I'd better get a Q guy in there. There's not a heck of a lot of them ranked in the draft. There might be about 8 or 10 that look like draft picks at this point, but got told that this kid was playing pretty well, and I went and had a look, and 6'3" right defenseman that moves pretty well. He's got to get a little stronger, but once he does, pretty smooth. What I really like about his game is his puck movement. He makes a great outlet pass. Doesn't mind the stretch pass either. Rarely do you see him miss the guy. Here's a goal he just scored, but he does a lot of stretch passes, and very few of them end up being. Look at this one, that was beautiful.
Yeah,
very few of them end up being icing. He's got good vision, good outlet passer. I'm quite impressed by his poise and smarts for a draft eligible kid playing in the queue. He's climbing. Scouts have been impressed. I've been impressed. Makes that smart first pass most of the time, and that's going to get you. That's going to get you noticed. NHL clubs, coaches, typically pro coaches, like their defensemen making that, not turning over the puck and making that smart first pass. And as you can see with him, he's got good vision. He makes some pretty smart plays out there. So I think he's climbed into the top 3 round discussion, maybe even the second round at this point. And that wasn't the case necessarily going into the year. Didn't hear a lot about him. Talked to a couple of scouts that haven't even seen him yet, that typically a kid that's going in the top 3 rounds in Quebec, there aren't many of them. They've seen him. So I think you're going to see him climbing draft lists as the season goes along here. He's got 3 goals, 6 assists, which is half decent. Brings the size, and he's a right defenseman, 6'3", skates okay. If he keeps up that point production where he's more than a half a point a game, keeps developing his defensive game, he might be a second round guy by the end of the year.
Wow. I mean, we know how valuable big right-handed defensemen are. We saw it in this most recent draft, right? David Reinbacher went 5th overall. So we're not saying this guy's going to go 5th, but they are very valuable to NHL teams. So Spencer Gill is a name to keep an eye on. Now, prospect of the week belongs to Tariq Parashak. Let's look at some footage.
Well, we highlighted him earlier in the year too.
Yeah.
He just keeps scoring. He's got 17 goals now, which I believe must lead all CHL players in goals. He's on pace for like 85 now or something ridiculous like that. But 4 games last week, he just kept doing it. He had 5 goals, 5 assists. I think I said it before. This kid just knows how to play hockey. You know, he goes to the right spots, he anticipates the play extremely well. He's quick, very, very good hands, great shot, just makes the right plays and is getting huge ice time in Prince George. He looks like a great prospect. I don't see how teams can't. It's funny, like he wasn't high on people's radar going into the year. Crossover guys most of them from the East haven't made the trip yet to out West, but when they do eventually get out there, they're all asking me about him. So what's this kid look like? Like, have you looked at it? Because they know I study a lot of video of these guys, and said, yeah, you're going to have to book trip to Prince George to see this kid when you do finally get out there, the crossover guys, because he's tearing it up. You look at a guy like Seth Jarvis. I think for most of his draft year, he wasn't thought of as a first-round guy, but he just kept producing, scoring goals. And after a while, the kid's a little undersized. He's whatever. But if you just keep producing and playing great every game, the best player on the ice in your draft year, eventually the scouts see enough of the guy. And you just saw Seth Jarvis climb the draft charts as the season went on, and he ended up being a top 15 pick, and now he's a top 6 forward on a cup contender at his age. So I can see the same thing happening with Parasak. He's got to be in the first round discussion now, and if he comes anywhere close to 80 goals, he's going to climb into the top 15 by draft day. You just can't ignore what he's doing. He's the kid's just a natural point producer, and sometimes you can't necessarily explain it. But if you see it, you have to honor it. And he's climbing. I'm going to have him when I update my rankings over the next week. I'm going to have him in my first round. I mean, if he slows down considerably, comes back down to earth, then maybe he falls out of the first. But at this point, you have to reward the kid for what he's doing.
That's it. I mean, right now he's just automatic. The puck's on his stick, it's going in. So Tariq Parashak, a player that definitely watch and maybe book a ticket, like you said, to go watch him in person. Might be worth it. That about does it for this week's show. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, so we always appreciate the love and the support. Comment anything you want. Anything, we'll read it. We'll interact with you. You want to have a discussion? You want to tell us what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong? Let us know. Have at it, and don't forget to leave a little thumbs up. That's always nice. So before we leave, obviously, we got to tell you, go check out recruits.ca, right? This show is simply an extension of recruits.ca, where you can get all your draft information, all your Habs information, and all of it together for dirt cheap. So do yourself a favor, go check that out, go subscribe, and subscribe to this channel. So with that, Grant, thank you so much. And thank you all for watching. See you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.